We are 13 months into the Israeli army committing genocide against Palestinians. The genocides in Sudan and Congo have been happening even longer than that. Please donate to one of the links in my bio, or if that's not possible, keep boycotting and keep sharing updates, as well as these fundraisers as much as you can. It is unconscionable that this is still ongoing, and for those of us who do not endure such circumstances, we must do what we can to help. COVID is still here. It's still dangerous even if you're healthy, and it's a high rate of spread in many places. Bird flu is starting to become more of a concern, at least in the US. Please continue masking or start masking again if you've stopped. There's a new vaccine for recent COVID variants, so now's a good time to get your COVID booster if you can do that as well. Hello, it's Rachel. As it's Halloween, I wanted to talk about horror in some capacity, so I figured it was a good time to talk about HBO's Pretty Little Liars. Yes, if you haven't heard, Pretty Little Liars has been canceled. I was planning to make this video before that news, but I am slow at scripting. So now this is a goodbye video to the show. Anyway, HBO's Pretty Little Liars was the best show of all time. I'm not joking when I say this. I've seen a lot of negativity surrounding the show, so I know this opinion won't be popular, but I genuinely mean this. And no, when I say it's the best show of all time, I'm not trying to say it's perfect. It definitely isn't. There are some writing choices I strongly dislike, especially in season 2. But overall, it is definitely one of the most satisfying shows I've ever watched. And I hate that we aren't going to see the rest of our ladies have their final girl moments, and that this show won't get to cement itself in pop culture like the original Pretty Little Liars did, as the reboot is leagues better. Like, it's not even a competition. The reboot easily leaves the original in the dust. Also, before I start gushing about the show, I will be sharing spoilers. I will be talking about these characters, presuming that people listening know who I'm referring to. So if you haven't watched the show and you somehow stumbled onto my video, please do not continue watching this if you don't want important plot details revealed. It's so worth the approximately 15 hours of your time. Please watch the show, and then if you feel obliged to hear me talk about it, then you can come back to this video. So now let me start talking about what is the best entry into the slasher canon. There are many, many reasons as to why I love this show, but a large part as to why I regard it so highly is how the show confronts rape culture and misogyny. As the story is set in high school, there are many teen boys who behave immaturely and have a boys will be boys mentality. But the show understands that this behavior is not harmless and how pervasive it is. In episode 2, the girls release a video of revenge porn in an attempt to embarrass Karen, the school bully, so she will stop harassing them. The girls pretty much immediately regret the action upon seeing how it affects Karen, and the narrative very strongly condemns this act as they barely escape legal consequences for sharing such a video. There's also one boy who repeatedly sexually harasses the girls, and after making a sexual assault joke towards Tabby, he's literally murdered by A in the next scene. The show has no interest in coddling this behavior, and as someone who has dealt with a fair share of sexual harassment, it is so gratifying to see repercussions for abhorrent behavior like this that tends to be permissible in daily life. These writers knew how to give me wish fulfillment, and I will forever be thankful to them for that. There's also the fact that the first season is fully a rape revenge tale. The entire reason as to why A terrorizes the girls and their mothers is because a desire to get vengeance for Angela, a girl who killed herself after her rape and the following mistreatment from her classmates. To mirror Angela's story, where she received no support from her peers, Tabby and Imogen are immediately met with reassurance and help from the other girls as they investigate their own rapes and are able to confront their perpetrator, who is later killed by A. While the mystery aspect is definitely resolved in Season 1, The aftermath of Tabby and Imogen's assaults is still very present in season 2. Tabby has made a short film, yes, you guessed it, a rape revenge film, and the end result is glorious, involving the survivor carving an A onto her attacker's chest. Susan Langsbury, the mother of Tabby and Imogen's rapist, is enraged by these claims and is determined to silence the two of them to preserve her son's memory, including her threatening to sue Tabby if she does not take her short film offline. It's a heartbreaking moment that is too true to life, but Tabby and Imogen are still allowed to have the last word as they deface his grave with the word rapist spray painted on it. One of my absolute favorite things that the show did was showing Tabby's journey of reacquainting herself with physical intimacy after being assaulted. She meets the lovely Christian, and it's clear pretty quickly that they are crushing on each other, but lots of talking, including Tabby disclosing her assaults, happens before she feels ready for a kiss. The relationship is constantly stressing the importance of emotional intimacy and trust, and it becomes very clear how safe she feels with Christian as they continue to get closer. Beyond Tabby and Imogen to a lesser extent, healing from their assaults, the theme of bodily autonomy runs through season 2, as there is a religious cult in Millwood that Bloody Rose is connected to. As we learn pretty much immediately, the cult passes judgment on extramarital sex, as Kelly and Greg face relationship issues because she has quote-unquote re-virginized. The cult's obsession with purity goes beyond their church members as they plan to perform something they refer to as Redemption House. Season 2, Episode 6 shows us what Redemption House is, a haunted house attraction that intends to offer moral instruction, which basically victim blames the girls for their misfortunes, along with a vignette of anti-gay propaganda. The girls and their friends then throw a pride party to spite Redemption House before trashing the house and disrupting the next night's performance. As religious fundamentalism is running rampant in many parts of the world, and a lot of it relies on proselytizing and restricting others' bodily autonomy, it was so powerful to see the girls fight back and, at least temporarily, force the cult to stop spreading their propaganda. And while we're still on the topic of the show confronting misogyny, we learn that the mastermind behind Bloody Rose is Tabby's boss, Wes, who's nearly a decade older than her and tried to initiate a relationship with her, along with constantly making comments of how mature Tabby is. Extremely creepy behavior. Season 2 doubles down on Wes being an asshole, as after being explicitly rejected by Tabby, he becomes jealous of her filmmaking talent and starts making racist comments like implying that Tabby is only getting attention and praise for her work because she is black. There are honestly no words to explain how much I loved the reveal that Wes was behind tormenting the girls, because of course, a guy who was basically trying to groom a teenager into a relationship would behave in other creepy ways. And he is so much more twisted than I would have ever guessed from his season 1 behavior. Like, his goal was really to make a snuff film. Tabby stabbing him with a pitchfork was just glorious. What a creep. Truly one of the best scenes of anything. Also, the fact that I endured 2 seasons of Wes's abhorrent behavior for this absolutely worthwhile reveal that he was a villain, it makes me believe there had to be a similar long-term goal with Greg. I truly believe in my heart that Greg would have been a murder victim in season 3 because his behavior towards the girls, especially Tabby and Farron when they were on Tabby's film set, was inexcusable. How I wish I could have seen his death, because he was an insufferable douchebag. The other main reason why I love this show so much is that it understands how to create a good mystery, something that I feel very few contemporary shows have been able to pull off well. While many mystery shows, including the ABC Family adaptation, successfully pull off shocking reveals, there is usually little build-up or foreshadowing, which, in my opinion at least, is one of the best aspects of the mystery genre. I love going back and rewatching mysteries to catch the clues that I missed the first time and putting the pieces together myself. With many contemporary mysteries, this is just not possible because the writers get concerned with outsmarting the audience, and most hints go nowhere as the writer's priority is that the audience predictions are incorrect. The nature of Pretty Little Liars, whichever iteration you are looking at, is that you are constantly supposed to be on your toes about who is actually trustworthy. Everyone is suspicious, everyone has secrets, everyone has grudges that could potentially be motivation to target the girls over. Like, one of my absolute favorite realizations I had with my second watch through of the first season is that the girls meet in detention on purpose. Principal Clanton is the mastermind behind A. He knows that none of the girls did these acts against Karen, but they are put in detention together in the hopes that they will come to the conclusion that they have been framed by her. Detention was a test to see if they would take the high road or if they would retaliate against Karen. They failed because they decided to share the revenge porn. This is the event that truly sets everything else into motion. And while there aren't direct hints about Principal Clanton's involvement, since his connection to Angela isn't disclosed until the finale, A has access to the school that is a lot more believable, knowing that he has someone on his side with those connections. In the very first episode, the school's janitor finds A's lair, and A murders him. The janitor's death is never acknowledged or noticed, seemingly being thoroughly covered up. There are also multiple instances of A being on school grounds to watch the girls. While this wouldn't be impossible without Clan's help, as A is a murderer, it is certainly easier for A to be there with that form of help. The show also utilizes the misdirect. Every adult who is in Angela's orbit becomes a suspect, the two top contenders being Sheriff Tom Beasley, Karen and Kelly's father, and Joseph, a man living in the train yard who was seemingly in love with Angela in high school. The girls narrow in on Joseph being A, as there is ample evidence to suggest he would want revenge against the girls' mothers, and it feels like a very plausible reveal until the real A kills him. There's also the fact that for most of the first season, the audience is left wondering whether it is Kelly or Karen who is murdered by A. There are pieces of evidence that can support the theories that either Karen is pretending to be Kelly, or Kelly is deeply traumatized and struggling to process Karen's death. It's a fun, if slightly confusing, thread to pull at, and it causes a lot of tension for the entire season. It also leads to one of my favorite scenes of the entire show, when A corners Kelly because he thinks she's Karen, and Kelly pleads for her life by repeatedly saying, "I'm Kelly." In Season 2, the main suspects for Bloody Rose are Miss Beasley, Miss Langsbury, and Dr. Ann Sullivan. There's ample reason to suspect any of these women. Miss Beasley hates the girls as she feels they are largely responsible for Karen's death. Miss Langsbury hates Imogen and Tabby for refusing to stay silent about how Chip assaulted them. And while Dr. Sullivan doesn't have a clear reason to hate the girls, the circumstances of her becoming their therapist are suspicious. Plus, it wouldn't be the first time that someone acted on a grudge that the girls were unaware of. As someone familiar with the ABC Family adaptation, I refused to believe Dr. Sullivan could be behind Bloody Rose, given she was literally terrorized by the A-Team from Rosewood. But the show teases the possibility to the point where I was starting to doubt myself. My money was on Miss Beasley after seeing that she had forced Kelly to join the church cult and seeing how she abused Kelly at home. The penultimate episode of the season lays on the hints pretty thick, in a way that made me confident that it was just a misdirect. And I was flabbergasted about who could be behind the mask. In the end, Miss Langsbury was indeed Bloody Rose. It's not quite as shocking as the Principal Clanton reveal, but I honestly wasn't suspecting her given how blatantly confrontational she was towards Tabby and Imogen when she wasn't under the mask. There's also multiple new characters, Christian, Johnny, and Jen. All three of them are played up as potentially being involved with Bloody Rose. Christian has just moved to town and is very interested in mask making, meaning he could have provided Bloody Rose with her mask. Jen has her history of being in juvie and still participates in criminal activity, such as breaking into houses and stealing things to pawn. There's not really anything about Johnny to suggest he could be involved beyond the fact that the girls don't really know him. But due to the nature of this series, as I said earlier, everyone could have a motive, everyone has secrets. The bigger twist, in my opinion, was that Wes was the one who had convinced her to play this part. But even that makes total sense. Two people with grudges against Tabby decide to work together to torment the girls. Also, kind of off topic, but Tabby saw through all of this. Tabby was adamant about putting Miss Langsbury on the suspect list when no one else seemed to think it was her. And Tabby even had a dream about Wes directing a film about A, which isn't that far from the truth because he was doing his fucking snuff film. Like, I just love the little teases. It's so good. It's so satisfying to see these girls put the pieces together and figure things out that we're not seeing. Well, thanks for listening to me ramble about this excellent show. I miss it so very much already. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts and that I was somewhat coherent in expressing my love for this masterpiece. If you have any thoughts on the show that I didn't cover, I'd love to hear them, so please feel free to leave a comment and we can chat about it. Hopefully I'll see you again soon and have a great rest of your day. Bye!